All right, what is up? Welcome into Dey Bites. Paul Daner Jr. here with you, Charlie Goldsmith, Jay Morrison. We had Mark with us from Key West. Mark's doing 4 nights at Key West Comedy Club right now. He was here. It was gorgeous. He was living life under the sun, and then Key West kicked him off. Key West, like, you have better things to do, Mark, than to be hanging out here and letting the sun come down on this computer. It's overheated. So maybe it'll cool down and we can welcome Mark back into our open spot over here. Maybe we can let Mark back in here at some point soon.
The fact that he's doing comedy down there I thought maybe he was on spring break. I was going to say, Key West is a curious place to take kids for spring break, but that makes more sense. He's down there doing shows.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice. Four nights. If you're watching this from Key West, can't tell you enough. Go check out Mark. I mean, it's gonna be a great hookup for you. He will absolutely hang out with you. One of next 4 nights. It's gonna be a lot of great shows. We did the Key West Rex show. I'm already jealous because it was like he's already telling me about the places that he went to. He went to Southernmost Cafe. Oh, he's moved inside. He's here. Let's go. Let's bring him up.
We go.
Moved inside. I preferred leaving you frozen outside on the street. Actually, I felt like the background. You felt like I could almost see the ocean off in the distance, and then you were just frozen there. And I was like, I might actually prefer this.
Yeah, just in memoriam. You just hold me up there. Remember the good times.
Are you staying in a tiny house?
I am
Your
not.
head's up against the roof.
Yeah, this room of the condo is definitely a lot smaller. But I had to come inside because, yeah, my setup. The Key West Wi-Fi isn't that great. I don't know if Paul experienced that living here, but it's not the most reliable, which is tough because the NFL draft is all anyone can talk about here.
I know that's not true, but I can tell you, I think when I worked there 15 some years ago, I don't think we had Wi-Fi, and I think that's true. The island is just like, look, we don't need that. Okay, we have lots.
You're
of
talking
other
about
things
this like it's lost.
Better.
You're talking about this like it's lost, like this magical island that has powers.
It feels that way quite often. I had a very strong Ethernet cord, okay, that I hung on to. All right, that's how it went. We will talk draft here at some point. Did anybody else actually bring lunch for Dey Bites? Did anybody actually bring lunch?
I'm gonna eat afterwards.
Oh no, I've got a chicken Caesar wrap.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that I don't spill it all over myself. I also have Starburst jelly beans, which are going to be critical all weekend. Do you guys have a snack of choice as we're bunkered up inside of Paycor for 3 days that you're bringing down?
Ryan Guy's truth.
I have a take, Paul. You know how, like, with the draft process, you were like, well, I started with defensive tackle and Derek Harmon versus Nolan, and then you go through this and then you circle all the way back. Well, for me, I feel like a lot of people my age started out on the snack train with the chewy granola bars, and then over the course of our life, we've circled through a bunch of other different fancier snacks. But I've landed right back on the chewy granola bar as the go-to snack that I bring with me in my backpack to occasions like this.
I don't know about that.
That's very underwhelming.
So what?
Chewy granola bar? I don't know. The kids these days, I don't know, man. Like, give me a real snack. Give me something that's bad for you.
That's fine. And there's a place for that for sure. I do prefer more filling, which the chewy granola bars are.
He's also anti-sharing, and he knows that's not going to be an issue with chewy granola bars.
No one clamoring for that. I do want to just, we should talk a little bit about the draft. Thanks to everybody that's popping in here, whether you're watching on X or on the YouTube channel. Subscribe and follow and all that stuff and get the alerts. We'll be doing these all weekend over here. We've got today the lunch hang, another lunch hang tomorrow that we're going to do in the afternoon. We'll be kind of a little bit of reacting. You can see if Jay and I have wiped off the fog from tonight's late night of round 1. And then Sunday night, we're going to bring back Dey Nights to kind of finally have some time to wrap up everything from the whole weekend. I don't know, Mark, if you're going to be able to make it back. Maybe we could get you live from the plane back from Key West on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Great to have different people. We'll pull them on to ask questions, get some flight attendants, and everybody, all the Bengals fans that are traveling from the Charlotte airport.
I mean, I don't see any problem with this. But we have that on Sunday, and then the live show is Tuesday night. Tuesday night we'll be at BetMGM Nation Kitchen and Bar down at the Banks. It's going to be awesome. 5:00. We'll be down there. The Reds' first pitch is at 6:40. So little Reds. Charlie, you gonna talk a little Reds with us too?
I'll stop by 100%. A lot of draft takes in the Reds clubhouse, by the way.
I'm positive that there are. Maybe you could bring your top 5 Reds player takes on the Bengals draft. Can we get that?
I'll work on that. I'll work on that.
All right.
I'll work on that.
I don't think we're asking too much. We'll be down there giving away tickets to the first Bengals preseason game, which don't even exist yet. That's how future thinking we are. Giving away some of those. We are going to have free graders. I was down there yesterday doing some prep for the show, Charlie, and everyone's talking about Charlie's cookies.
I like that these have become my cookies. I mean, great. Yeah. This is something I would love to be associated with.
I think we should have them rename Charlie's cookies. We're talking about a cookie ice cream deal. Maybe, it feels right. A Charlie's combo. If you ask for a Charlie's combo, there could be a deal with this.
This is right up my alley.
It is right up your alleys. All of that. Hopefully we'll see you on Tuesday night. Charlie, can I bring in something here? I want to bring in something real quick. You tweeted this out, and I just want to tell you how impressed I am by your spreadsheeting and your graphing skills. The color-coded organization of your draft board that is out right now is just next level. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate it. Can you tell me about your color choices, how you landed on purple for the mid rounds? Did you want to have a light palette? Is that why you just keeping all, give me some background into your color choices.
Google Sheets does go like across from a color spectrum situation. So I do just go from left to right. The whole idea is though, and I didn't watch Severance, but unbelievable show. I've heard, shout out Severance. Like, how their whole thing is like the angry numbers. It's like, you'll find them and then you sort them. That is the vibe I'm going for here. It's like, oh, the name Ty Robinson definitely pops out. Oh, the name JT Tuimoloau definitely pops out. And so the names that pop out, it's like, oh, look, that guy. And so that's kind of the general vibe and theme I'm going for with that organization.
It's lovely. Jay, how are you? Do you have jealousy? I mean, you're the freak in the sheets. You're the king of the sheets here, I thought. And now I see this, and I don't know if you have any criticisms or thoughts on Charlie's sheet.
I would be super impressed if there was some sort of formula where all he had to do was type in a guy's name and it would automatically color code him to what Charlie's thoughts are on his draft, as opposed to just typing in a bunch of names. And then I'm guessing, Charlie, you went through and just one by one color coded each guy. But if you could write some formulas to make it so that automatically populates, that would be next level.
And what I love is you can see the orange kind of right corner thing. So that's just a comment on the sheet. So when I hover over the name, you can't see it here because this is a screenshot, like over Shamar Turner. Well, if I hover over here on my sheet, it'll like give me my thoughts and my notes on Shamar Turner. So I can go through a bunch of guys very quickly and just like have that pop up. Quick shout out and plug for Power Stacks. Me and Brian Giesenschlag yesterday ended our show by comparing Reds players to day 2 NFL draft prospects.
Wow.
And that was fun. That was fun.
True crossover synergy for you there, Charlie. I appreciate it. What was your favorite of the day 2 player Reds player combo?
I think my favorite one was TJ Friedel and Nias Peebles. Peebles is a 6'1", 288-pound defensive tackle, but the way they create power through effort and create premium position ability through motor and twitch coming from unexpected places at that size, that was the parallel I saw between the two of those guys.
Wow. I was thinking, one of my favorites is how there was a time a few years ago where every single player that came out of the Reds bullpen reminded me of Jackson Carman because they all had offensive lineman numbers and maybe looked a little bit overweight. And I saw him and I know Ian Jabot is a bigger guy. When he came out as closer on opening day, I couldn't help but have some flashbacks. The number connection, it all was a little too close.
I could see Emory Jones, the LSU tackle, for who's going to play guard for Ian Jabot. I could see that as a comp. Yeah,
maybe that's what's next. Anyway, I wanted to make sure we commended you on your on your sheet. It's remarkable. Let's talk a little bit about what's been happening here lately, because it's been maybe the weirdest run up to this draft in terms of the rising and the falling of people who maybe you thought you had a general idea of where they were going, right? And then all of a sudden now it's just everybody's everywhere. One day they're rising, one day they're falling, one day in their top 10, the next time they're in the bottom, down in the 20, around 25. Like, it's really hard to track what's going on. And we're seeing, Walter Nolan, Kelvin Banks Jr. flying up. And now it's like these guys are top 10, and Nolan is going to go in front of Mason Graham, and Kelvin Banks Jr. is going to go in front of Membu, right? I mean, and this was not stuff that was even in the conversation. I wonder how much of the rise you guys are buying right now, because to me, I buy the rise maybe more than I buy the fall on some players, because I feel like I wonder how much is just the lies are permeating.
I think it's the opposite. I think we've not seen any trades so far, and I think a lot of personnel that talk to media members, the ones that do the national mocks, and that's where these risers and fallers come from. And I think they're feeling comfortable that they can say what they really feel about these guys now, that they don't expect. They expect this to continue, that there's not going to be a lot of movement. It might be a dangerous thing to think, because it could just go totally other way and go haywire once the draft starts and be a ton of moves. But I think that's where a lot of this is coming, is guys are just feeling there's not been a lot of movement as far as position-wise and where guys are going to draft and trading. So maybe lips get a little looser, and they're more apt to say what they really feel about some of these prospects.
Last year, what this kind of was for the Bengals was like a math problem, a math game, where it was like, all right, if you could have 6 guys between these 2 or 3 positions get picked, then one of the 5 tackles who we spent all that time talking about, Fashanu, Fuaga, et cetera, Mims, will be available for the Bengals at 17. And then the run on quarterbacks, Bo Nix, Penix, et cetera, saved the day. So the Bengals got one of those great tackles. This year, it's, all right, you've got and I don't have the names in front of me, but you've got like a top 8 in this class. And then it really does feel like an absolute jumble from 8 to 30. There's not a math game this year. The Bengals are certainly going to get someone specifically in that tier of defensive contributor. Maybe they go guard, we can talk about that, but certainly one of the defensive contributors at edge, D tackle, linebacker, safety will be available at 17, and they'll pick the highest guy they have on their board. But the nature of this class, with the drop off after the first tier and then the jumble in the middle of the first round, does make this, 1, more unpredictable, but 2, harder to find a doomsday scenario for the Bengals at 17.
Yeah, there is no doomsday.
I would think fans would disagree. Fans hate Shamar Stewart.
Yes.
They just, we did, I think, Mark, I think you put this out on social a couple days ago, maybe, of what was it? It was like, who do you least want to see?
There was somebody, and there was a lot of Stewart that nobody wanted to see. A lot of Stewart.
A lot of Stewart. And I'm going to die here. Excuse
Just the
me.
Thought of Stewart has got you near death. Or is it that
is.
rap that you were really bragging
maybe
about?
my hot take is I'm okay with Shamar Stewart.
But he's never done anything. He's got no good production. He's got a lot of pressures,
I know.
I guess. But
He's had disruption or whatever. Here's, let me see if I can pull this up here. I kind of was going through, and I was looking at, okay, I want to see if I have it right here, I think. Yeah, here it is. So I wanted to look at relative athletic scores over 9.8 of edge rushers in the last 10 years and weight over 260. Okay. And what it looks like. Tell me what you hate about this group. Okay. Shamar Stewart, this is his group. First of all, he's the top of relative athletic score. Yes, production, I get it. Production versus traits. Like, this is the topic of the year, and it's the Shamar Stewart topic. I get that. I'm here to listen to that. And I understand why that takes him perhaps out of the top 10. Sometimes you see him in the top 10. Sometimes you see him down at the bottom. There's going to be teams that like him. Poor Jordan Willis, by the way. He just sticks out like a sore thumb. Of course, Bengals fans are like, I hate this. Look, Jordan Willis. Remember that? But this is a group of guys that are Pro Bowlers, 10+ sack seasons. They were maybe the first year is sluggish, as you see kind of with a lot of these guys. Trevon Walker, Garrett, Rashawn Gary, Daniil Hunter, Montez Sweat, Aiden Hutchinson, Yaya Diaby, Preston Smith. Like these are wins. These are win picks, okay? Outside of Jordan Willis, who did go later in the 3rd round. I mean, there's just I'm okay with betting a little bit on traits. And maybe that's a hot take here to say that I wouldn't be disappointed, but I just feel like the ire that has been directed at Shamar Stewart is a little over the top. I understand the production issue. I just look at a group like of this and say, how many of these picks would you not take at 17 right now? How many? 2, 3?
The thing with the production, we're talking sacks, right? He gets pressure, he gets back there. It's all about finishing, and that's not unusual to a lot of young guys, and we're seeing it with Miles Murphy and just Joseph Osai. It takes some guys when they're young that they get back there, and then there's a certain element to actually finishing the rush, getting the guy on the ground. That doesn't mean he's bad. If anything, it means he's got a really high ceiling that I think Dane wrote in The Beast that his best football is still ahead of him. And you would think that's the case with a lot of these guys that are getting picked early, but I'm with you, Paul. I don't get the hate for Shamar Stewart. And we're even seeing some of it in the chat over here before we even started talking about him. And it goes back to what what your conversation with the Growl Gals on our last pod, that the traits versus production. And yeah, production is low. He has very few sacks in college. He was really only a starter for 1 year, but he gets there. He beats tackles routinely. And I think you get into the NFL, you get around guys like Trey Hendrickson and other professionals in there, you get around quality coaching and you can learn how to finish. And that's something that a guy can grow into. And I would not have a problem with him as a pick either.
The way I rank these defensive end 1st-round prospects are Mykel Williams, Shamar Stewart, Donovan Iziraku, and then Mike Green. When I'm looking for the kind of importance of, at least in some way, immediate production or immediate role, I don't want this to kind of be a red shirt start to the season like it was for, say, Miles Murphy heading into his rookie year. There's got to be some ability to contribute against the run. And when you look at those smaller, bendier, Iziraku, Green, what they basically are representations of just Osai's upside. Like that's who they are as a prospect. So competing with the veteran established version of Osai, who has a better feel of what to do and how to win in the Bengals scheme, that will be more of an uphill climb for them to beat out Osai for those true pass rushing snaps, at least when Osai isn't kicked inside. From a run defense perspective, I mean, you're competing with Cam Sample for snaps. So, Mykel Williams, especially above Stewart, but then Stewart too, does have a real path to a role. Obviously, I know the missed tackles, but the physicality, the effort, the motor, the churn against the run really does show up with Stewart. So he does have a way that he can show up in a role and succeed and upgrade the defense right away, at least in my estimation, more than just those true bend and go pass rush options.
There's another guy that a lot of the fans were, when we put that question out, were still big on Harmon, and it seems like Derek Harmon is dropping a lot lately that people are talking about. What's the deal there? Is it medical or why am I reading so much negativity about Harmon in the last day?
The medical seems to be a thing that is now starting to leak out. I think we're seeing that there's more medical nicks on him than were anybody thought. I think there's 2 players here that I think that we're seeing, where drops are associated with, maybe the medical is a little different than we thought. Jahad Campbell and Derek Harmon, both of them, it's like clean bill of health, 17, you love them, right? But I think there's more question that was apparently there behind the scenes on that bill of health on these guys than certainly was out there, that's been out there at all anywhere for anybody that you talk to. So, and Campbell being still in play, but there's just going to be questions about how dinged up he is, or if there's any attrition from just all the wars he's been through at Alabama. He's got the injury he's already coming back from. How much is that going to affect what you're getting in year 1 or whatever? And with Harmon, I that's hard to know exactly what's happening there, other than the fact of it's not quite as clean as they hoped it would be. That maybe pushes him down a little bit further. I think they're both fascinating. because you love the players. And if you're getting those players in all that they are, you would take them in the teens. So, but if they're available later, how far is the fall? How bad is it? I'm really curious to see them, Stewart, the two of them, Mike Green. I'm really interested to see the variance that we see right now from what you hear, from what you read, from everything that's out there right now is so wide on so many of those guys. I'm really curious to see. And all of those are kind of, variance amongst pretty specific Bengals potential targets. Any thoughts?
What's all right?
I
chime in.
thought you were moving on to the next.
I'll keep going. I guess if you got nothing else.
To go back to Campbell and Harmon, and Walter Nolan is climbing, and I'm sure we'll talk about that as well. But in my estimation, when you look at from a clean, reliable impact production and just overall fit, I do see a gap between Harmon and Nolan, and then there's a huge gap between Campbell and the next best linebacker. So I still don't know that any of those dings from a medical perspective, even incorporating what those could be, would change how I would rank those two players, just because of the gap I do see between those two guys, specifically with Nolan, I should add in from a production perspective as well. So while that may exist, they still, honestly, I think Harmon and Campbell might have been top 12 picks in this draft if there wasn't that kind of medical stuff attached to it. So, all right, at 17, that's still pretty good. And there is still that difference to me between them and the next player in that tier at those positions.
No doubt. Let a few other, I think notable players. So we've seen, I think maybe the true insider mock drafts that are sort of influenced greatly by last minute knowledge. Breer, Peter Schrager, DJ, Todd McShay, Mike Green for a couple of them, Ezraku. So the edges are prominent. By the way, Jay, someone was appreciating and pointing out that maybe there should be a Stevie Nicks Edge at 17 musical drop.
Ooh, there you go.
You might like that, right?
Yes. I might have to put that together. I need someone else to sing it to change the words, but I can cut it up.
Anybody that wants to get a piece of Stevie Nicks sing Edge at 17, shout out to somebody on X had that. I got to shout them out for that, whoever that was. So for you, maybe tonight. Maybe we can have that available tonight at some point. But you're seeing that, and then Albert drops in Jahdae Barron with a nod to the golden variable, which we spent a lot of time talking about, and I want to kind of dive into now. I don't think we have even thought for a minute about corner, and we spent a lot of time talking to the corners this week. We were in there, and we talked to all of them. We talked to DJ Turner, Cam Taylor-Britt, Dax Hill was in there. We talked to him, Josh Newton, and I think they have a very confident feel that they're going to be in there and be able to go play press man, and they feel like that's their specialty, and this will be great for them. I would still be stunned. I know I would just be stunned to see a corner dropped in here. That one was kind of jarring to see when you consider everything else that they need and where they're at. If you saw something like that as a wild card pick,
I haven't spent Go ahead, Jay.
I get it, because you don't expect them to pick up the 5th year on Dax. Maybe Cam Taylor-Britt doesn't get re-signed. You could be looking for a corner very soon, but this isn't the mid last decade when they had kind of a more solid roster, a deeper roster, especially on defense, where they had that luxury of just going first-round corner in 2012, first-round corner in 2014, first-round corner in 2016. I don't think they have that luxury right now. Corner almost kind of equates to what James Rapine was talking about with Colston Loveland, just a total luxury pick, the breakfast before the dessert before the meal. I get when you're looking long term why a corner like that would be in play, but I just don't see that you can do it with all the other needs that you have.
I haven't done as extensive work on Barron as I have, the other first round targets that we've been discussing, but I do know that he does have a some decent experience at free safety. He was the kind of guy who rotated between the slot and the box, a ton of ball production too. So like that playmaking instinct, all right, you can kind of see something building there vision-wise. But I'd just rather take the free safety if that's the easiest way to get a guy like that on the field in 2025.
Do we want to drop in some questions, Mark? If we got the chat is hopping. Thanks to everybody that has showed up and is watching and all that stuff. Let's see what we got. Oh, Paul Hiron's right off the jump. Let's go. Let's go. Houday UK in the house.
Yeah, so reports suggest that Golden is open to more 3-4 man concepts. How does that affect the talk of the pass rushers? What do you guys think on that one?
First of all, I just want to thank Paul for joining us. I know this is a really hard time for him, and I'm crushed for him. He was supposed to be in Green Bay. He was going to announce a pick, and his trip got derailed, and I'm very sorry about that. Thank you, Paul, for joining us and being a part of this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Does that going more 3-4? Does that kind of knock down the need for like a Harmon type, a 3-tech? Defensive tackle in general, you're going to be playing them a lot less. And do they even have enough linebackers to play 3-4? Does that mean that they have to go out and get linebackers or a guy like Jihad in this draft where linebacker and can rush off the edge? So if that report is true, then sure, I think that has to affect the way they approach this draft.
I don't quite think they built this roster, even linebacker perspective, great point, but to have I guess, whatever you would call them, the base end, big defensive tackle-ish types that would be on the end in a true 3-4 defense. Like BJ Hill kind of could do that, but that's not kind of the edge, or excuse me, the kind of tweener setup they have from a defensive line shading towards defensive tackle perspective. I do definitely get the impression that there will be more speed off the edge this year. And that's a big part of their plan and the expectation. And I'm much more leaning towards looking at more of those bendy edge types. We can talk around 1, but especially 3-4 building that depth. Like obviously, like Cedric Johnson, he'll be competing for a spot, but like think of that style, like the Cedric Johnson. Watch him run down Bo Nix. Like guys who can do stuff like that in rounds 3 and rounds 4 of this draft are guys I'm definitely keened in on because that does really fit what Golden's looking for.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that will affect the pass rushers is that size thing that has been the cutoff number. I mean, they have had this cutoff number of like you're less than 260, you can go kick rocks, man. Like they're just they're not doing it, and that's just not going to be the case. I mean and to me, it screams Mike Green.
Yep.
I mean, and not the fact that he would definitely be the pick or whatever about that's the type that you can utilize some 3-4 concept. You have that weapon. I mean, Charlie, we could go back to the very first times. I think when we first did a rewatch and talked about this, we said they just don't have that tool in their tool belt to even go to it if they wanted to. And so to be able to add that, to give you a little more variance, to give you something that you can do. And if you do go and you start leaning into a 3-4 as more of an outside linebacker type, you have that type of a star player that you could utilize to do that with. Now, that doesn't mean that anybody else is necessarily off. I just think it opens up the door to the Ezrakus, the Mike Greens, some of these smaller guys that you can see. But it's still the North, man. You still have to be able to play the run a little bit, and that's where Mike Green to me comes above because he's a lot more tenacious in that regard and a lot more physical despite his size, at 250, but he plays stronger and bigger, and he's still just a Ferrari off the end. And so if that's what you're looking for, I think that's what that does. I think the idea of that gives them like recognition saying, hey, we don't have this tool. Let's go see if we can put that in our belt.
You ready for another question from the chat?
Yes, sure. I didn't mean to call Mike Green a tool. I don't know.
What?
Sorry about that.
What's the over/under for Notre Dame players drafted by the Bengals? Xavier Watts gets thrown around a lot, but there's some good late round picks that could, Notre Dame's going to put into this draft.
If I'm setting a line, I'm saying 0.5, and I'm probably taking the under. I think it's just too much of a crapshoot. And again, the Xavier Watts, we talked about this with Kelsey yesterday. I don't see it happening because I think it's such a telegraphed pass that if he's close to being there when the Bengals pick in the second round. Someone's going to trade in front of him and take him if they really want him. It just seems like almost too obvious of a pick at that situation where if he does fall and he's sitting there at 49 when the Bengals go on the clock, then sure. But I could see someone jumping if they really like to jump and get him because they know that Al Golden's going to want to bring that guy to Cincinnati. And you only have 6 picks. Just the odds, the sheer odds of them taking someone from Notre Dame, I think are low.
What's a shame to me is that Riley Mills had that injury because he would be a perfect round 4, round 5 pass rush rotational piece. I think he had knee surgery or something at the end of the season, but Kaiser will be on there. But once you get past him, and I don't see them going for Benjamin Morrison because of what they've plotted out at corner. After that, it really does just drop off considerably once you get past kind of that group of guys at positions in need.
Maybe Kaiser. I mean, late round linebacker, and Al's background as a linebacker coach. But again, the odds are so great, even though it makes so much sense. Just the odds of it actually happening, I think, are too high.
The tight end is my sleeper pick on day 3. The
Evans.
Yes,
Mitchell Evans.
Notre Dame expert. Can't forget that Mark's our resident Notre Dame expert on all of it. I was like looking for his name. I was like, I can't remember his name. Evans. That's it. Mitchell Evans.
I would like to see that, but there's just too many other guys I think that we need. But I do like Evans. He's a nice player.
He'd be around. I mean, he's a day 3 type where you're like looking at somebody. So that's going to bust your 0.5 there, Jay. That's my prediction on that. Late round Mitchell Evans. Give me that one. All right. What else do we got on the in the chat?
Can we make Charlie Shotgun the year's best beer live on the stream? Or, maybe, I was gonna say he could do one at the live show, but I know he's got to do some work too. So.
That'd make it interesting.
Maybe not chugging beers before you go back to the Red Stadium is the best. I'm all for this, Charlie.
You got to make a prediction. We'll go. Here's what we'll do. Here's an idea I came up with. You each can predict a day 3 Bengals pick, and if you get it right, I'll chug the beer.
Okay,
that's it.
Is that fair?
We both have to,
fair?
or either of us have to.
You each. Well, if any of you guys can predict the Bengals round 3 pick, or day 3 pick,
we get one shot at it.
You each get one, and it would be a chug, not a shotgun. Is that fine? Is that fair?
All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fair.
You can't shotgun out of a red Solo cup.
All right. I like this. I got mine. I'm going to go LaQuint Allen, Syracuse.
Oh, we got to do it right now?
Allen. Do it right now. Do it now. Do it live.
Well, since we just talked about him, I'll stick with Mitchell Evans, and
we
may become that late round tight end, and it'll be fun to make the Notre Dame guy is the reason that Charlie's got a chug. So,
I know you've got to you got to have a sleeper, Jay. You got to have something.
Well, I just mentioned him, so let's go with Kaiser. Let's go with the linebacker from Notre Dame.
All right. That's fine.
I
have can I just list all the running backs that I like at that part of the draft? Can I just keep going? Jarquez Hunter, my guy. I put him in there.
Cam Scattaboo.
I want all of them. I want all these running backs in my conversation there.
That does make this game a lot more interesting if we can just pick a position that they draft on day 3 and not even a specific player.
Charlie, do you have one? I will chug the beer instead if you have one.
I'm going to go edge rusher Kyle Kennard. I keep coming back to him.
Okay. Kyle Kennard. Mark this down. Who's keeping track of this? Somebody in the chat remind us.
Oh, I know. Sorry. Can I change? Can I change?
Oh, this is no, I don't like this. I don't already.
JJ Pegues. Final answer.
JJ Pegues.
JJ Pegues.
Jay, start a spreadsheet for me.
Yeah, well, this will live on the internet forever. We can just go back and we can watch this again.
I'm remember the 34-minute mark by tomorrow morning. Okay, this is going to be. There's so much is going to happen between now and then. This random bet for chugging. I'll make sure we have this written down somewhere. All right. Do we have another one? Want to pull out another one real quick?
Sure. This one, we don't have to go through all of them, but Jake wants you to sort of rank some of the biggest positions of need, knowing that they're all important.
Yeah, I mean
we're going to do that in a little bit.
Yeah, I think edge is probably just because the amount of focus that's happening with that at number 1 overall. And I thought I thought it was really interesting when we started diving into the Trey Hendrickson talk yesterday with Kelsey, which I recommend going back and listening to that because the Bengals are trying to trade. The Hendrickson situation's messy. Charlie, I don't know if you heard this. We talked about it yesterday, but we discussed the concept of not drafting for spite, but drafting for leverage. The draft pick that gives them leverage against Trey Hendrickson and gives them another option to not just build the future, but like, hey, we got a guy here. All right. And so we do have a plan. And so we don't need you right now if you want to go and play your games. You know what I mean?
If you're the Bengals, you would have wished that Dax Hill gave you some leverage, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
In 2022 with Jesse.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't. Hey, it worked out until Dax Hill didn't.
That's right.
You know?
I mean, if that is the case, Trey would almost be doing him a favor by sitting out training camp because you give that new guy all the more reps. And Trey's a guy I think you don't have to worry about, kind of like Jamar. Sit out most of training camp, come in and have an incredible season. If there's a guy that doesn't really need a training camp, Trey would be at the top of the list.
Yeah. All right. What else do we got? We want to try? Do we want to try this game? We have a game. Do we want to try this game, Jay? Can you explain how this thing works?
We can. Is Mark going to play? Mark's probably has no idea what we're even talking about.
I don't. So I don't need to jump into it.
Okay.
I think a complicated game.
How complicated will this get?
I don't think no. All you have to do is pick positions. Okay. So what we're gonna do a draft of draft needs essentially. So I had it played out where we would pick 9 positions. The 3 of us would each make 3 picks, and so whoever gets the first pick is gonna pick the position that they think they're either gonna target the most or they're gonna target early. If your position the Bengals take that position in the first round, you get 10 points. If they take it in the second round, 7, third round, 6, on down the line. We're going to count O-line as one total position because there's too many guard, tackle, tweeners to really sort that out. But we are going to have edge and defensive tackle as separate entities. So there's more than 9 positions, so a couple are going to get left off the board. They only have 6 picks. If they stick with all 6, then our third round picks are going to be meaningless anyhow. I don't know how we can. I don't know if we will let Mark.
I think Mark, you should rank us all by how much you like us for the draft order.
Okay. All right. That means first overall pick is going to be Mr. No Forks, Charlie Goldsmith.
Mr. No Forks.
And then
I get that a lot. No.
Jay, you got the second spot. Paul, you're coming up third. Do you get that? Is it a snake style? So you get to do 3 and 4?
It's a snake. Yeah. I like the snake.
That's not a bad position to be in.
No, I'm
I actually think 1 is a disadvantage here, to be honest, which is fine. That's the rules. So you'll
get a snake late, but
yeah, you're weighing here what they're going to do in the first round because there's so much extra bonus points with the first round pick. Yeah. Also, you want potential of a double up. So I'm kind of looking where could they go in the first round or maybe double up. And for me, that's defensive tackle. I'm getting 2 shots in Harmon and Olin as potential first round picks. And they probably have to add picks, but they do only have 4 DTs on the roster right now. I could see them doubling up a defensive tackle. So that will be my first pick.
Yeah, for the sheer volume of all the players that are out there, and I do think it could be in play. There's not a doomsday scenario, but if there is a run on those edge rushers, I could see O-line. I could see them possibly going guard in the first round, or if they don't, if you're gonna wait till the third, that could be a prime position to double up at. So I'll go O-line as my pick.
O-line, yeah, the double up of O-line feels tempting. Well, I'll be taking edge, trying to hit that first round, for sure with that. And then I feel pretty good that there's going to be a linebacker. So give me linebacker.
Okay.
People
aren't talking about linebacker enough for the Bengals this draft. That's my general draft take.
No, I mean, look, I would be. I'm not gonna say what level. Stunned, floored, astounded, somewhere in that ranking. Like I will be if they don't have a linebacker by Saturday. Like I really feel like between the potential of Campbell tonight and the allure if Schlesinger ends up making it to them, which I don't think he will. But if he does, boy, he's going to be high up on their board. And I like Demetrius Knight from South Carolina a lot for them. He's literally comped to Jermaine Pratt over and over again. People are like, this guy's just like Jermaine Pratt, and they're trying to replace Jermaine Pratt. And so he makes a ton of sense to me. I feel like in those spots, those guys are going to be on their board. You know what? Butchie did this in our mock. I wouldn't be stunned if they especially if they did a move back in round 2 to add picks. If Knight was the round 2 pick, I wouldn't be stunned by that. If they do move back from 49 to 59 and add 105 from somebody, and then take Knight and make sure they knock the linebacker off. It would not be totally stunning. I think that would be possible.
Yeah, I did a trade back mock as well, and they picked up an extra third, and I had them taking him in the third. I think the position that they're gonna have to draft at some point, and probably early, is safety. So I'll make safety my second pick.
That's the other one. Malachi Stark says he's still the guy I'm mock drafting with the Bengals for tonight. So now we've got defensive tackle, O-line, edge linebacker, and safety off the board. This is where I knew it was gonna get back to me. I'm looking at tight end. I'm looking at running back, or maybe some sort of crazy scenario at corner. I have a question: is Gray Zabel going to be listed as a guard or a center? Or O-line just goes all.
It's O-line as a whole. Yeah,
you got all O-line. All right, so that doesn't even count there. I was trying to find a loophole. I guess I'll go tight end. But that's how I feel. I think those will be the 5 positions they draft. That's my hot take.
You get another pick too.
You'll have a snake, so you can double up.
Great, tight end and running back, but I actually don't think they'll take either of them.
Yeah.
You don't think the running back's coming?
You know what?
You think? I mean,
give
running
me
back's
tight end
coming.
and give me tight end and receiver.
Yeah, I like it. I'll gladly take running back.
Okay, receiver. Well, I mean, what
you can have your 2 points in the 6th round. I'll take a little higher swing.
Where do you think receivers coming?
I don't think running back's coming. You
just think the Zach Moss thing kicks them off the running back conversation in round on day 3.
I think if you're in day 3 in true need zone and you're having a conversation between running back 4 and swing tackle 1, I'm taking swing tackle 1. I think there's just so much more likelihood that they're going to double up at one of those spots.
That's fair. I could see that.
I'm having some fun with the receiver pick.
Yeah, I would love to know where that comes from, and I would be stunned because I haven't watched a single receiver this draft.
Same here.
The moment they signed T and Jamar and had that press conference, I turned off all receiver tape.
Yeah,
said uninterested.
I feel like if receiver is the pick, we should all have to chug a beer then, just in honor of Charlie. It's that far out there. I think kicker is more reasonable to draft at this point than that receiver.
Close your ears, Evan. Goodness gracious. That would be
serious question. And we're talking about 6th round pick strategy. What depth do you like more? Samaje Perine and Zach Moss as your backup running backs, or Charlie Jones, Jermaine Burton, and Isaiah Williams as your backup receivers? All right, Gesicki's a backup receiver too, so I'll give you that. But
yeah, Gesicki's in there. I mean, Gesicki and Iosivas is my top 4. Yeah, I mean that's fine. I guess that's fine if you feel like if you're talking about a 5th and 6th round pick, you could have the next Iosivas, who in 2 years is the new Iosivas. I guess. I guess you could have that conversation. Running back gets beat up more often. I just feel like I would want to have a potentially dynamic running back, which I just don't. Perine and Moss don't classify that for me. Who's the next Chase Brown? I think could end up paying off for you more sooner. I think that's a valuable piece, especially in this draft. You can get somebody really good in round 5 or round 6, just because of the nature of it. I just think that matters. I think that could end up mattering for them. That's my opinion, but I would probably take that.
I was good. Not just this draft, but it happens all the time. The guys late in the draft, or even undrafted guys, hit big at running back, and you just don't see it as much at wide receiver.
Are there even what are the positions left that I have to take?
So you can have corner, tight end, quarterback,
no, tight
or
end's gone,
specialist.
right? Okay. I'll just corners available to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, give me that.
Oh, tight end was gone. Yeah. So cornerback,
Yeah,
quarterback, or
corner's fine.
specialist.
I'll take that. I'll take
Okay.
cornerback. Never know. You never know what could happen there. All
We'll have
right.
the results Sunday night.
There's the
Or
game.
maybe
We'll have
Saturday
the
night.
results on Sunday night. What did we do? We'll leave the if you're in the chat or you're listening to this, you can drop in some more answers to this. Send your ideas for punishment to the loser and maybe something nice for the winner to thegrowlerpodcast@gmail.com or drop it in the comments of the chat tomorrow. We'll be back at noon tomorrow doing this again with some reaction to what happened and what we think is going to be going down on day 2. Jay and I will have the walkout every night, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That'll drop into your feeds. Sunday night, Who Day Nights. Sunday night, we'll have kind of a full big picture reaction show. Mark might be live from a plane. I think Mo's going to come join us on Sunday night, so I know he'll have some thoughts. So we'll have that for you too. And then come on down to the live show on Tuesday. BetMGM, Nation Kitchen and Bar at the Banks. Get free graders and a Charlie's cookie. The Charlie combo. The cookies are delicious. I had a belt sandwich, a bacon, egg, lettuce, tomato there yesterday. That was absolutely phenomenal. The tots are incredible. I was so good. I was very happy to be down there, but it was perfect when a cookie finished them off. And I just thought, man, it's gonna be great. The Charlie cookie combo is really, it's going to be a new favorite. I want to have it with your face on the menu, Charlie.
Actually, the real Charlie cookie combo is getting 2 cookies.
Oh, are you going to drop a I don't like ice cream take on me? Because I know you do. I know you're a big graders guy.
Of course, I love ice cream. Yeah. I'm not a monster.
Why are you a cookie and ice cream guy? Or would you rather just, if I'm eating cookies, I'm eating cookies. If I'm eating ice cream, I'm eating ice cream.
Paul, do you even know me?
I don't. I want to know you
I
better.
like
I'm here trying to know you. This is me trying.
I like all of it, and I will eat all of it.
Okay. I just didn't know if you had a preference. You usually have a preference on all food things.
I would prefer a cookie, but I like ice cream. I like puppies too, you know. And sunny days and walks on the beach, like.
Yeah, but don't act like you're the most predictable guy, Charlie. You hit us with the chewy granola bars out of nowhere. You know, nobody saw that coming.
That's fair.
Walks on the beach while holding a chewy granola bar, as we all thought of it. You know, that's it. All right. This was fun, boys. We did it. We did one of like 82 pieces of content in the books for the draft weekend. So we've got that going for us. We will we'll talk to everybody tonight on the walkout, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Pop on into the YouTube channel, get the notifications so you know when we're kicking it up at noon again tomorrow. We'll be back. So, all right, thanks everybody for watching, for listening, all that good stuff. We'll talk to you later. Enjoy the draft, everybody.